This is Dan and Lexi from Dan Schultz Outdoors, reminding you to keep the adventures alive.
Hey y'all, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Colleen. And we're the Keel Quest. And we want you to keep the adventures alive. Cheers!
Hey, this is Darren from Ride Paddle Repeat, encouraging you to keep the adventures alive.
This is David from Beachley Ironworks saying keep the adventures alive.
I'm Jay. That's Skill. From Jay's Way, keep the adventures alive.
Hi, I'm Kevin Collin, the Happy Camper. Remember, keep the adventures alive. Awesome!
Woo, buddy! Shug here! Keep the adventures alive. I am.
Ethan here, the Avid Outdoorsy Guy, reminding you to keep the adventures alive.
We're John and Aaron.
Keep the adventures alive.
Hey everyone, it's Kylan from Lure of the North, and I encourage you to keep the adventures alive.
This is Sky North telling you, keep the adventures alive. And now on with the show.
Tonight's episode of CanoeHound's Outdoor Adventure Show is brought to you by OTG Meals. Fresh, freeze-dried, small-batch meals made for people on the go. Algonquin Outfitters, with 4 key locations in and around Algonquin Park to serve your backcountry needs. Kid Products, stick stoves and reflector ovens proudly made in Canada. And Novacraft Canoes, connecting you with nature in Canadian-made canoes since 1970. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of CanoeHound's Outdoor Adventure Show. Hope everybody's had a great week, and to all of our Canadian friends out there, hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. I know I did. It was a good time spent with a lot of family up north at on Rice Lake at a cottage resort, and it's always something that we really enjoy doing. We got to see all the fall colors. If you haven't had a chance to get out there and experience all the fall colors, you know what? Try and get out there, whether it's in your own area or if you can get up north, up to the Muskoka area or something like that. Try and get it in, man, because the colors are just fabulous this year. My name's Dennis, also known as Canoe Hound, and we are live here every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., as you probably know. But if you're new to the podcast or to the show, not a podcast, we're talking to podcasters tonight. But if you're new to the show, thanks very much for tuning in. And you know what? Hopefully we'll make a believer out of you and a subscriber to the channel, and join us every Tuesday evening if you can. As I mentioned, was up north on the weekend here. It was a fantastic time, like I say, with family and friends. And in the spirit of Thanksgiving, you know what? I thought I would run a little bit of a promotion. This is something for Canoe Hound Adventures and Canoe Hound Adventures swag. If you're ever looking to pick up anything, we have a promotion on right now where you can actually get 10% off of any of our swag. through our Teespring account, or our Spring account as they are known by now. I'm just going to leave the promo code going across the bottom. It'll save you 10% off your shopping cart, whatever you happen to put in there through our storefront. By all means, it's a great way to support the channel. And you know what? Look great in some Canoeing Adventures swag. And that includes our new Let's Take a Dip tee, which is something that is really nice. I'll just throw a quick little picture of that up there so people can see kind of some of the stuff that you might be able to get on there. But we have everything from t-shirts, hoodies, men's and women's style. We also have coffee mugs and all kinds of neat things on there. So by all means, if you do plan on buying anything and supporting the channel and looking great out there in the great outdoors, we have got a product or a code for you. October 10. Just put that in at checkout and you'll save yourself a few bucks anyways. Let's see here. Over the last couple of weeks, I have been mentioning the Ontario Winter Camping Symposium. And I mentioned last week that I was going to try and get on the organizer for the show this week. Well, you know what? I made it happen, and I'm just going to introduce David Bain to the live stream, and he could tell us all a little bit about the Ontario Winter Camping Symposium, which I believe is the 4th edition, right, Dave?
That's correct, Dennis. We had a little hiatus due to that COVID thing you might have heard of, but yeah, we're finally back with our fourth annual, kind of, I guess you could say. And looking forward to it. An opportunity to get together with the winter camping crowd and network and have people see some faces they haven't seen for quite a while, in some cases, and looking forward to hearing some great speakers and just having an all-round good little get-together on November the 5th.
Cool. So what can you tell us about the show? I know you've already got your speakers lined up. Can you tell everybody who's going to be joining you on stage?
Absolutely. So we have 4 great speakers coming up on November the 5th. And I believe your audience will probably be familiar with a few of them. I can start with one of your show regulars, Martin Pine. Martin is well known to Canoe Hound fans, and he is not only the man you want to go to when you want to talk about things like Crown Land, summer camping, and so on, but because he grew up on the Ottawa River and as a kid didn't necessarily have the money for tents and shelters, he got in the habit of learning how to build winter shelters. So he's a bit of a Quincy expert, a bit of an igloo expert, and he's going to come and talk about the benefits of not having to, if you're pulling a Polk or a freight toboggan, not having to have a tent, and maybe not even having to deal with a hot tent stove, because once you're inside a Quincy or an igloo, you know, the ambient temperatures sort of hover around 0, +1, -1, somewhere in there, and you can use your alcohol stove to cook in there and save a lot of weight. And so it's another aspect that some people can explore if you're into winter camping, or even if you've never tried it and you just want to build one in your backyard for the kids. Martin's the guy. He's going to walk us through how to look at winter shelters and building winter shelters. Now you can use them for your winter camping experience. So there's one that your audience might be familiar with. Shirley Lake Blair is a scout leader from up near Holland Landing, I believe. And she takes her scouts winter camping. And so she's going to come and tell us sort of how to get people involved in winter camping without having to blow a large amount of money on gear. Winter camping is sort of gear intensive, but she's figured out ways to get people who may not have the gear or may not want to invest in the gear sort of up front when they don't really know if they want to commit to winter camping, get them involved and get them out there sort of on a budget. And then if they're really interested, they can sort of spend the money to do it at another level. So she's going to come and talk about her experience with that and with getting in the scouts she works with, making mucklucks and all kinds of winter gear that get them out there doing the winter camping. We have Peter Desmet. And Peter is, I know he has a YouTube channel and a following. I have only talked to Peter over the phone. I haven't met him face to face yet. I'm looking forward to that. But he has sort of a unique story. He's from Europe. And like a lot of Europeans, I think he has access to some pretty remote areas up in the Scandinavia. He's from Sweden. And one day, he and some buddies who were into rock climbing decided to do some winter rock climbing. And that got him into cold tenting. And then several years later, he came over to Canada. And he's ended up now guiding winter camping trips and and sort of introducing people to hot tenting. And so he's picked up some tricks along the way. And what I find with winter camping, being a bit of a newbie myself, is, everybody's got a trick. I don't know, the younger generation, I guess, call them hacks. That word drives me crazy. But anyway, just things that work for them that you may never have thought of, or what do you put under your stove? How do you keep the snow from melting under your tent when you're backcountry hot tenting? What do you use for a sleep system? Those kinds of things. When you have somebody like Peter, who's been doing this for a few years, he has some tips and advice on that kind of thing. And then our final speaker for the day is somebody I've known for quite some time. He's a folk singer. He's a airline pilot, retired, I believe now, but he flies vintage World War II aircraft, and just a real Renaissance man. Makes his own winter camping gear, and that's Dave Hadfield. And Dave, for the last more than 20 years, since before I've known him, has been in the habit of taking a group of guys up on the Bud car, which is a really unique experience. Dennis, I think you've done some Bud car, have you not?
I've done it for canoe tripping, but I have never ever thought of or considered doing it for winter camping.
So Dave and his buddies take the Bud car in the depths of winter, and they head up to parts unknown. And they really never tell people where they go because they want to keep it remote. But basically, they get dropped off at the side of the tracks. And he said they've spent up to 2 weeks out on self-supported trips with 4 people pulling sleds, and never seen a snowmobile track, let alone another person. So there's still a lot of wilderness up there north of Sudbury if you can get up there and take the Bud car north. And he's going to talk about that. And again, he's a guy who he builds his own wood stoves. He has his own hot tent that he designed and sort of had constructed for him himself, and he builds his own sleds. And so he has some real experience backcountry hot tenting and doing sort of expeditions, which are something that I think I know myself personally. I mean, I've never done anything close to what I would call a hot tenting expedition. So I'm going to be fascinated to hear more about that from him. And those are our speakers for this 4th annual. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that.
I'm looking forward to that as well. Dave's been on the show, and that gentleman is he knows his stuff. He's got all kinds of information that I'm sure he will share with everybody. A regular thing that you have at your show, I'd imagine you're going to have all kinds of prizes that you'll be giving away between the sessions.
Yeah, we have a new venue this year. If you go to the website, we have been at the University of Waterloo, but they made a change to their arts curriculum and needed our theater. So after an intense search, high, low, under overturning rocks and generally just trying to find another place to host this year, we've come up with First United in downtown Waterloo, which is right beside an LCBO, which I think recommends it. Right there.
Tailgate party, yes.
Yeah. And free parking. So, there's lots of benefits. But so we have a larger area for vendors. It'll be a little bit less chaotic than it can be at the Theater of the Arts when you have an audience of 360 people trying to mill about and look at all the gear. So we have a gymnasium that is available to us, and we'll have hopefully some hot tents set up in there, and you can have a look at some setups that people use when they go either backcountry or car camping. And we'll have our vendors. We have also some nonprofits joining us. We have the people from the Ontario Turtle Conservation, which is a great organization, and they work very hard to rescue injured turtles, and all our turtles are now endangered, so they're going to be there giving people information and telling you how you can get involved. And Quetico Foundation will be back. So it's a mix. Our vendors and or nonprofits are a mix of winter, but also just outdoor and backcountry stuff. Trip Shed will be with us again this year. They were at the spring canoe Symposium, and they'll have gear for sale. We have just various other friends of Temagami will be there. If you have a Temagami question, either about canoeing or about accessing Temagami in winter, they'll be there to answer questions about that kind of thing. So more than just the speakers, we'll have some things you can browse and check out. And we're looking forward to giving everybody a sort of a well-rounded experience for the day.
I know a few of my sponsors will actually be there as well. I believe Kid Products is going to be there.
Kid Products will be there. And
Meals.
Whiskey Jack and OTG Meals. And actually, in the spring, OTG came and had boxes and boxes of meals for sale. And I believe sold them all out before the show even started. So
yeah, he left with a bunch of empty tote boxes. He did.
Yeah. He did, yes. So
I know I stocked up.
Same thing will be available. I know I take OTG when I go solo backcountry hot tenting because solo backcountry hot tenting is enough work without having to worry about preparing a meal. So one of those OTG they're great meals, and just add water and they get you through for sure, and they're tasty, and I can't say enough good things about them. So they'll be there. Randy will be there with hopefully totes and totes full of freeze-dried meals for you to check out. And it should be a really good day. Really,
I think Randy's working overtime right now. We got about one more minute here. So really quickly, where is it, and how much are tickets, and where can people get tickets?
Okay, so we are, as always, based in Waterloo, which for some people may seem a little odd, but I'm based in Kitchener. So, we run the show where I am, and that's Waterloo, Ontario, serving sort of central and southwestern Ontario and people who can make it down. We have some folks that come up from Ohio and so on for the show. So, it seems to be well attended. Had people come down from Timmins and all over the place to join us. We're right in downtown Waterloo this time. So it's on William Street, 16 William Street. You can get the directions and parking details and everything at our website, which is, I'll see if I can point, seems to be right below me if I'm looking at the same screen as everybody else.
You are.
OntarioWinterCamping.ca. We have the speakers there. The ticket link is there. Tickets are $17 plus a fee. And there's also a junior price for people who are, I was going to say 12 and under, but it might be 14. It tells you. And they have a lower price ticket available to them. And we have quite a few of those joining us, which I think is really exciting. So, looking forward to it.
Very good. Well, with your permission, I'll be there doing a little recording and a little schmoozing myself, but maybe I'll get a little highlight video going of the show, and we'll see what we come up with.
That'd be great. That'd be
awesome.
Great.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate you popping on and telling everybody about the Ontario Winter Camping Symposium on November the 5th in Kitchener, in Waterloo.
Waterloo, Ontario. That's right.
There you go. Awesome. Thanks, man. And we'll be talking soon, and hope to see you soon.
Okay. Take care, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, David. Awesome. You know what? For anybody that might be, within a few hours drive or whatever of Waterloo, this is an event that's really worth going to. Just listening to the speakers and the knowledge that they have to share about winter camping is something to behold. And if you're trying to really learn how to winter camp or something like that, and you're looking for tidbits of advice and information, that's the place to be by all means. But so like I say, I'll probably be recording some of that, and I'll be posting that as a separate video. And we'll try and make that happen. Let's see here. Just one or two more things before we introduce tonight's guests. Let's see. Oh, birthday wishes. We have birthday wishes that have been sent through to me. We'll start with happy 46th birthday to Scott from Diane and your kids Spencer and Kelly. Thanks for sending that in, Diane. And, of course, a special birthday wish to my best friend, my wife for over the last 31 years. And, Mrs. Canoehound, Cheryl, she'll be turning 39 this coming week. So happy birthday to my lovely wife. Thank you for putting up with all my crap and being the wonderful woman that you are. Also, thanks very much to all those that bought me coffee for this week's show. Not expected, but it's greatly appreciated. So thanks very much for doing that. If anybody wants to buy me a coffee, and just throwing it out there, you could visit buymeacoffee.com/Canoehound. All the links to everything I talk about are always in the description below. including how to get tickets for the Winter Camping Symposium. So I'm going to drop this off the screen now, like that, and we are going to move on to the fun part of the show. Tonight, our guests tonight are outdoor lovers and camping enthusiasts. They started a podcast back in November of 2020 to inspire and educate others to get out and enjoy some of the things that they're most passionate about. This is a family event for this entire family. They all take this all in, and that's why they like to share it, is because they really enjoy it. Please welcome to the podcast to the show from the podcast Super Good Camping. We have Tim and Pamela. How you doing, guys?
Hello.
How's it going?
We're great.
I gotta start memorizing this stuff a little better.
You got podcast on the brain.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good, thanks.
We're great, thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
Good. Well, no, that ain't gonna work. We'll stick with this one.
All right. Well, no, we can just do her.
There you go. You'll be the voice off in the side, right?
Let's see.
He's the talent. We always call him the talent.
So, Tim and Pamela, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
All right, I'm going first, apparently. So I'm a naturopathic doctor by trade, but outside of that, we're a podcaster part-time. We started the podcast just as a fun kind of endeavor on Sundays to keep ourselves amused mostly. But then it's turned into something more than that, and Tim's embraced it entirely.
Yeah, I've got camping issues.
Don't we all?
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, right?
That's why we're all here, right?
I think by and large, Pamela got sick of me just watching camping canoeing videos all the time. So she went, you know what, if we're going to do it, let's do something about it. So here we are.
Let's embrace our camping side.
Yep. And it's been an interesting ride.
So is that how it all started? You like what made you want to get into doing a podcast? Like I kind of almost do not know how I got into doing this, right? It just sort of was a natural transition going along and along and along. And before you knew it, 4 years later, I'm still doing this, right? So,
yep.
Yeah, almost 2 years later, we're still podcasting.
Yeah.
Podcasting was becoming kind of new and interesting at the time. As for my profession, I'm not allowed to give any advice to anybody that I've never actually seen in person. I'm not allowed to recommend anything that people should take or do without having seen them. So I have a lot of limitations as far as what I can say in a public space. So we thought, well, one thing we can talk about safely, and I'm not going to get in trouble with my regulatory body, is we can talk about something that we enjoy doing, which is camping. And we've done quite a lot of camping together over the 12 years that we've been together. And the kids enjoy it too. And initially with the website, Brandon actually contributed some of the content, our younger one. Mm-hmm. And Thomas does a lot of the backcountry camping with Tim now. So it is a family venture at this point.
So you've got two boys?
We have two boys.
Right. Well, one's a boy, one's actually an adult now.
We're a blended family too, yes.
So 17. I keep shooting myself in the foot on that one. 17 and 20.
17 and 20. Okay. Geez. Yeah. So they're young men, strapping young lads.
They were little when we started camping together. They were like 5 and 8.
Yeah. When we used to be taller than them, which isn't the case anymore.
No. They tower.
Well, when did your passion start for the outdoors?
Oh man. Well, for me, probably back. Scouts probably nailed it for me, but I probably already was into doing outdoor things. We had, very large family with extended, with cousins and whatnot. So we had a very remote chunk of land that we I was this tall. We built a cottage. So we spent a lot of time in tents in an old beater trailer there while we, made the foundation, blah, 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 over the course of years. So I spent a lot of times in the outdoors. I'm originally from Oshawa, but in the suburbs, like way out in the boonies of Oshawa. So I played in fields and stuff like that when I was a kid. So I loved it. And then Scouts was like, yeah, let's go in a tent. Let's go somewhere. Let's do things. And that's it. I was hooked.
When I grew up on a farm, so living out in nature was pretty much, we had a 64-acre hobby farm east of Toronto. So I was outside all the time and so nature was always part of growing up. We didn't do a lot of camping as kids. We did, my family didn't, but I'm now a scouter, now into camping and adventuring.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So what type of adventuring do you enjoy doing? Is it everything from like car camping to backcountry stuff?
Both, yeah. I'm a little less on the backcountry side. Tim is more on the backcountry side. But kayaking and canoeing and rock climbing, all of those things to me are fun and adventurous.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We as a family did one backcountry trip, and I shot us all in the foot. I totally oversubscribed.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
I totally oversubscribed our abilities and planned out way too much of a trip, and it lasted for one day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was too ambitious, and weather was rolling in, and we were not prepared. So
yeah, we got all kinds of winds. I was the only one that could paddle, whereas I thought, oh, it's not a big deal. It's you just and I have totally changed how I go about planning our backcountry trips since then. So
not quite as vigorous, right?
Well, no, we're back up to that, but I backed way off, and then sort of
built up to it.
Built up to it. Yeah.
I know where you're coming from on that, because the last backcountry, like real backcountry adventure I had my wife on, and this is back when my daughters were quite young. I think they were like maybe 7 and 5, or maybe 8 and 6, or something like that. We did this trip up to Temagami, and we went up and we sort of did part of the Maple Mountain Loop, right? So we started at Mowat Landing, and we paddled all the way in. We had 2 kayaks and a canoe. We paddled all the way in. And that wasn't a problem getting there. It was quite a distance for the younger people, or my daughters, right? One daughter was in a kayak with the wife and another kayak, and I had my youngest in the canoe with me. And the problem was coming out. We got hit by wind, and we got this huge windstorm that hit us, and we ended up getting windbound on this little island on Lady Evelyn Lake that was like an island where it had a barrel on it, and all the locals would go there and burn their garbage. Oh. So my wife, I think she had it right there. That was about that for that, right? So I've had my daughters out on other trips, but it was probably a trip that was a little too ambitious, right? I figure if I could do it, anybody could do it, but it was a little ambitious. So I know exactly where you're coming from on that, Tim.
I appreciate taking one with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, there was several portages, and it just it took us the whole day to get to our site. It was dark by the time we got there, I think. And then we were all starving, and then bad weather was coming. So
it wasn't a happy experience. We've had great, Thomas and I do the backcountry stuff. We've had great trips since. At the same time, we just did a French River one in August, and I came home and we're talking about it, and I said, yeah, we had, because we actually got windbound for the very first time ever. We had nothing went according to plan. We had essentially 2 8-hour paddling days, like just all day long, just paddle. And Pamela's like, yeah, that's why I don't want to go backcountry camping with you. I don't want to spend 8 hours paddling, man.
Yeah, okay, that'll do for sure. Nothing like weather to throw a real crook into it too, right?
Yep.
So
yeah. Well, he said, well, no, I don't plan them so ambitious this time. Yeah, but you did 8 hours of paddling one day, so that's enough.
Yeah. So Tim, you just did a series of late on the podcast that was 3 separate broadcasts from a French River trip that you were doing.
The trip log.
Right. It's actually that'll end up going a total of 8. It's an idea we totally stole from Tents and Timber. They did a West Coast trail, so they're doing a trip log each day, a report from the road, as it were. So yeah, we took a recorder, Tascam, whatever the heck it is, and we sat down at the end of the day and just went blah blah blah. Here's what the day was. Just, I don't know, something to do. I thought it would be a fun idea.
Mm-hmm. And it's working out quite well. So that was you and what, a buddy of yours? Or
no, Thomas, our eldest, very, very tall.
The 20-year-old one.
Yeah. Okay. So no, that was a pretty cool take on it. So now your show. First, I got to ask. Super Good Camping. Explain the name to us.
All right. So it's a bit of a play on words. Tim is the superintendent of the apartment building that we live in. So he's a super.
Yeah.
His name is Good, and we enjoy camping. So Super Good Camping. And then this is also when our youngest was much younger, so he was probably about 8 at the time. And I said, so if something's really good, how would you describe it? And he said, super good. I thought, well, perfect. So it not only is camping super good, but Tim is a super and his last name is Good.
There you go. Super Good Camping. So there's the story behind the story.
There you go.
That's it. Not many people know that. So you're one of the first people to ask that.
There you go. So I kind of assumed that Good. I didn't know you were a superintendent, but I knew your last name was Good. So it's yeah.
Somehow that played in.
So now you've been doing this since November 2020. How many episodes do you have under your belt so far?
50.
I think we're just shy of I think we 2 more and we have 50, something like that. Or we have enough. It's 40 something, but we actually have enough in the pipe ready to go to publish. Yeah. We'll break 50 before we record anything else.
So you're somewhere between 40 and 50 episodes.
Right.
See.
Okay. Let that be noted, everybody. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's the skill testing question, right?
Getting early on while it's still early.
Yeah.
When I said we could have like 4 seasons if we actually broke it up into seasons, but we haven't.
Yeah,
It's been one long season.
It has. We just sort of haven't stopped. Just keep going.
You know what? And that's I think a lot of podcasts are like that. I don't know. Do many podcasts go by seasons or anything like that? I know the guys from Paddling Adventures Radio. I think theirs is just like they've been constant. They're like 52 weeks a year, right?
A lot of them do tend to separate them into seasons. Not necessarily. I don't know why. For me, it doesn't. Nothing really matters. It's just we're having fun doing it, so I don't care. But I do see season 2, episode 4. Podcasts tend to publish year round. Like it's not, they don't take a season off to go and paddle in the backcountry or whatever. So I have no idea. I have no idea about most of what we're doing.
Not experts. We're just.
You're sharing your passion, right? It's right in your introduction. You're sharing your passion for something that you both believe in, and
pretty much.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's a lot the same with what I do here as well. It's all about. For me, this show started by bringing people on the show that I enjoyed watching, and I think you're doing the same thing, right? Because you follow YouTube quite vigorously, and you're bringing on people that you enjoy watching, probably because you want to learn a little bit more about what they're doing, right?
Exactly.
Well, that and for what we know about our audience, it's a perfect fit. Like introduce them to. It's not that they're going to get billion views or anything from our people, but our listeners can learn more from them because they're more expert at something, at whatever, or just even something that's not necessarily shows up on their YouTube channel. Tunis and Brittany are a perfect example. It's starting to show now, but they do just like amazing leather work. And I really, as soon as I caught a hint of that, I was like, oh, that's very cool stuff. I want to get them on. I want to talk about that and introduce our audience to their artistic abilities, that kind of thing.
It's funny you say that because I have 2 pieces of Brittany's work. She made me a nice cup holder, right, with the Canoe Hound logo on it, and then after that, we did a little tradesy thing. I own a print shop, and I was able to make her stickers. They're bottle stickers, actually. These guys, the Freak of Nature ones, right?
Nice.
So we did a little tradesy work there and stuff like that, and I got myself a really nice belt out of it. And I didn't go too wild and crazy on the custom thing because I know a lot of work goes into it. But nonetheless, I got myself a really cool belt from them as well. So
very cool. I'm gonna. We've already chatted briefly. I want her to make me a guitar strap. So that's.
There you go. So you play, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So let's go back to the early days of Super Good Camping. Where did the show start? Like who was your first guest, or what was your first topic in one of your first episodes?
Our first topic was tents and Sybil Point, I think. We kind of went in chronological order of the camping places we had been. And at first it was just the two of us, just talking back and forth about what we enjoyed about certain campgrounds. And I think it was tents. We talked to, and we thought, well, we'll do two kind of topics. One was like a gear kind of thing, something that you might need, or some kind of tips that people might need. And then also just about various campgrounds that we've been to. And Sybil Point was one of the first ones we went to together. We went to, because it was in close proximity to Toronto. It wasn't Tim's favorite campground by any stretch of the imagination. He didn't enjoy the fact there was a lot of yahoos and noisy people there to party for the weekend.
The day use was crazy. The day use was crazy.
The kind of things that drive Kevin Callan crazy, right?
Well, and ironically, they had a contest for the kids to collect bottle caps throughout the park, and whoever collected the most bottle caps was going to win a prize. And so our kids participated in that, and it was amazing how many bottle caps they collected, and they did not win the contest.
Yeah, they were well over. I want to say they were 120 something or 130 something, and they weren't even in the
they weren't
top
in the running.
5 or anything like that.
No kidding, right?
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons, like just the garbage and that kind of thing. We didn't love that.
And that seems to be getting to be such a problem right now, right?
Sorry, say that again, Dennis.
The garbage in campsites, whether it's provincial parks or drive-in or front country or backcountry, doesn't matter now. It's just everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the wardens are doing a good job of it, considering how much there is. Certainly for the front country stuff, backcountry, we've hit so many sites and just gone, like I can't believe you guys lugged it this far. That's why you didn't lug it back out. That makes me sad. Oh, somebody told me a story about getting to their backcountry site and finding bags of garbage lined up at the edge of it, like they thought somebody was going to come and collect their garbage and take it away. Right. It's like, oh man. And I understand that we have a new lot of people that don't have the experience, haven't learned all the lessons, that are trying to get out there because they haven't had anything to do for 2.5 years. There's been nothing else to get them outside to do things that don't keep them homebound. I understand how that happens. It makes me sad that they didn't bother to go, hey, I have no idea about this. It's maybe not so easy as it looks. Maybe let's take a bit of information so that we don't do the bad things that make Thomas and I pack out 10 pounds more than we took in with us. It's
yeah. That's always tough. You almost feel guilty when you see somebody else's trash or rubbish laying at a campsite. You almost feel guilty about not packing it out if it's there, right? Like for many of us, anyways. Some people just say, you know what, it's not mine. I'm not going to take care of it, right? But
sure,
we always try to, we get to a campsite. Give you a case and example. We just went to Naganosh Lake Provincial Park there last week, a camping trip. There were 6 of us guys, and we got there and we pretty much cleaned up Bear Island, which is a very popular Highland campsite. And we cleaned it up, and you burn what you can, the tinfoil balls we brought out with us and stuff like that. We brought our own cans in and stuff, but we also packed them back out. So it was like one of those things where, we try. If everybody tries to leave a campsite better than they found it, then it might not be so bad out there, right?
I'm going to sidetrack here for a second. Thomas and I did a 3-day into Kawartha Lakes, Long Lake, just a super easy in one site, hang out for 3 days, come out. I've been trying to book it's not even half an hour of extra paddling. I've been trying to book a site on its own secret lake. Never been able to book it. So I figure it's got to be an awesome site. I wouldn't mind, it's a quick little bit of business. Let's go check that out. If there's people there, we won't, we'll paddle onto the lake. We'll see the people, we'll bail out. I don't want to, interrupt their serenity of being the only site on a lake. There wasn't anybody there. I could smell smoke. We hadn't passed anybody on our way in, so whoever it was had been gone for a while. We got to the site, smoke coming up from the campsite, stuff littered around. We found 2 chickens in the fire that was still active. I put 6 or 8. There's somebody left behind a nice bread pan for baking bread. I put 6 or 8 of them on to put the fire. It's like, oh, it was. Wow. I was very unhappy coming out of there, man. It's like, oh, come on. Anyhow,
you're gonna find it no matter where you go, right? It's
almost inevitable. Walking in nature, even just seeing garbage there is just jarring to me. It's like, there's all this greenery, everything's beautiful and pristine, and then you see a wrapper of something. It's like, this doesn't belong here. I find that bothers me. And we usually, when we're car camping, even we'll go around, clean up the campsite before we leave. So there'll be those juice box straw wrappers, there'll be bread tags.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's funny. I know these guys are it's one of the guys in Kid Products. They used to be scout leaders, and the one guy would always have one of the bread clips, and he would throw it, and he would. They're part of their cleaning up the campsite was they had to find that bread clip, but anything else they found they had to also bring, right? So that was one way to sort of get them to clean up the campsite was to try and find that one bread clip, right? So
that's excellent.
Make a game out of it, and it might educate the young people. Anyways, we're not here to talk about garbage.
I know. Sorry,
good camping podcast here.
Pet peeve. She's a scouter as well. Just she's a scout leader.
I am a scouter and a group commissioner.
Excellent. How's that rebounding now after the pandemic? I know, like, obviously scout troops probably took a real hit with
it's interesting. We had to pivot quite a bit back and forth over the pandemic because Scouts Canada would dictate, okay, you can't do in-person meetings, you have to do virtual meetings, and we were back and forth between that. The church where we normally held our meetings wouldn't let us in. So we were 2 years without really a home. We were having to do outdoor meetings sometimes. We arranged kind of temporary space somewhere else. Sometimes we were doing virtual meetings. So it was a little bit crazy, like just all of the trying to pivot to whatever the current conditions were. But we are back in our usual home now, which is great. And it's interesting because our cub group is at capacity. Our scout group is at capacity, and our beaver colony has been kind of steadily growing. Like each week there's another new one joining. So I think parents are just starting to get their kids back into all of these extracurricular activities too.
Trying to normalize, get the kids back to normalization, right? Yes. And so do you think it'll fully rebound from what
I think so. We had 32 beavers before the pandemic. Right. We're down to only 15 at the moment, but that's where I think one by one they're coming back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I was a Cub Scout when I was a kid, right? So I wasn't the best Cub Scout because I was a bad kid, but I was nonetheless. So that's
you learn some skills.
My mom used to give me heck all the time because I'd always come home with what do they call it? The woggle, the thing that you
yes.
Yeah, I always lost my woggles, right? And she'd have to go down to the store and buy me another one for 75 cents, right? So, or whatever it was. But
taking it out of your allowance.
Yeah, I never got one of them either. So.
Maybe you should have been a bad kid.
Yeah. So back to super good camping then. So you've what are some of the things that you cover on the show? Who have you had on for guests?
Guests I can do off the top of my head. 50 episodes later, man, I don't know. I have to go back and look through the list to say if something occurs to me. It's like, oh no, we already did that. Oh, but we could do an update on it. We've done gear reviews. We've done park reviews. We usually do something about pretty much every park we go to. Not necessarily backcountry, but certainly the front country stuff, whether it's Sibbald or Turkey Point or Presqu'île, that sort of jazz.
We've done inclement weather. We've done what could possibly go wrong. What will you do if something goes wrong?
Gadgets that should
the satellite,
go with you
GPS.
And stuff like that. Satellite stuff. The important things that need to go with you. The the luxury items that want to go with you, like chairs, taking chairs into the backcountry. Literally 6 weeks ago, we took chairs for the very first time because we were in French, and I knew seating was going to be a bit of an issue with all the rock, not enough trees for benches and stuff like that.
It's interesting. In one of our upcoming episodes with Camping with the Coles, they were talking about the very first time that they went car camping, because they were like, we were always backcountry camping people. And then our friends invited us to come car camping, and they were like, what is this chairs? Who brings chairs camping? Because they were so accustomed to lightweight backcountry and not taking anything extra.
One pack and no extras, no nothing.
Yeah, so that's a little teaser for our upcoming episode with Camping with the Coles.
But they make chairs so convenient now. Eh? They got these little tiny things that fold down. I just recently bought one that's got a high back on it, right? And it's like, oh, this thing is great, right? No more leaning against a stump or the little tiny one that makes you feel like you're sitting on a toilet or something, right?
How do I get up out of this thing? It's this far off the ground.
Yeah, now that I'm down.
I'm like 220, right? So I got to rock a few times, and is this thing going to hold my 220 rocking back and forth to get up? Oh yeah. You know what? That's the one thing about camping gear is how convenient it is nowadays, right? But convenience comes at the cost of extra weight that you have to carry, right? So like, where people are trying to lighten up, and then, it's only another, 12 ounces or 6 ounces, and the ounces equal pounds, right? So the more you keep adding, and
so, and I'm getting old and I don't want to lug all that stuff. Thomas.
Yeah. There you go. You got a strapping young lad there to carry all your
the nice thing when they get bigger, they can carry more stuff.
I'm going to be boned when I'm solo camping, man.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what?
More episode about weight versus need too, like weighing out, like, this is heavy, but do I really need it? No, I don't. Maybe I can find a lighter version. Yeah.
I'm bad for that. My buddies call my backpack Big Red, right? And they call it that for a reason. I got an old Ostrom pack, backpack or canoe pack, and that thing constantly weighs between 65 and 75, 80 pounds, whatever, right? She holds a lot, right? And every time I get home from the trip, I take my list and I go through my list and I go, okay, I didn't use this. The things you're supposed to do, right? You cross the things off that you don't use, right? And you know what goes in my pack next trip? Everything. It doesn't matter. Everything goes back in, right? Not one flashlight, but I got a headlamp, a flashlight, and then my high power flashlight in case that bear comes at you or something, right?
And then a couple of Lucy lights, and then a battery pack for that. Yeah.
Need a backup list just in case. Be prepared.
Yep. I'm an idiot like that too, all the time.
Yeah. So, but what do you do, right? Yeah. Those are called the luxuries. And if you're willing to carry it, hey, why not?
Well, it's also changed as I get older and I want more of those luxury items. It's changed. It's also contributed to the changing of my trip planning, where in the old days, aside from the one trip, Thomas and I would go. Every day was a paddle day. Every day, and then the next trip was every day, but one day we'll stay for 2 days. And then the next one became, okay, there's going to be two days where we stay for a day. This French River one was 8 days and we only did 4 sites. So because I don't have to lug the stuff quite as much. Right.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That was our biggest trip this year that we did was our August trip, like every year. And, we went to up Bisco tasting area, Indian Lake, Ramsey Lake area type of thing. And in our 7 day or 8 nights and 7 days or whatever it was, we only had 3 campsites as well. We base camped and we traveled and explored and, made it back for dinner every night to the campsite. And it was kind of nice because I think the only portage we had, we did the rail car from Bisco tasting lake over into Indian Lake, both ways, back and forth. So that wasn't really a portage. It was more fun. Because you ever heard about that?
Yeah, I have. Yep.
Yeah. So you throw your canoe on this rail thing, you pull, 4 guys pulling all your canoes over. And then we come back the same way. And then we camped on Bisco Lake, but then we did a day camp or a day trip into Ramsey Lake. And it was like a short little portage over the dam. And that was about it. Right. So compared to last year's big trip, which was like it was a rugged trip. This one here was rugged, but it was a little more tame. So yeah, cool. It was kind of nice to have a relaxing year. So
yeah, this year was the French River for Tim and Thomas,
just
and it was an
relaxing
exercise in adaptation. I think it was pretty much like we didn't stay on any of the sites that we planned to. We didn't necessarily move the days that we were going to be moving.
Nope, nothing went according to plan. But it was great. It was an awesome trip. It's the first river trip we've done. We generally do lakes and portages. So I thought, hey, cool. We can do this, and it's only there. I think there were 3 port. It wasn't it's like Hartley Bay down the sort of a figure 8 down to Georgian Bay, and then work our way back up. 3 portages, nothing over 300 yards, three and change maybe. Although I was a little bit terrified because on Lostify map, which is I buy things about a long time before I actually get to doing them because I plan for a long time. So the map is probably about 6 years. 5 or 6 years old, and it said that the 3 portages weren't marked. Thank goodness they were, because we would absolutely have missed the first or second one. It was we pulled up to the end where you generally go to the portage. There was nothing. We just happened to look over, and there was a yellow bag taped onto a branch. Yellow's a good thing. Let's go check that out.
Yeah, yellow is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know what I've actually taken to doing, and some people might even see it out there on some of the trips. You never know. I mentioned, I own a print shop, and I'll print little portage signs. And if the portage isn't marked, I carry a little bag on the back of my pack that has roofer's nails. 4 per sign, right? I got them counted out because I don't want the extra weight. And, a bunch of portage sign, flagging tape, so that if I happen to come across a portage that's not well marked or not really easily found, I'll mark it, right?
Cool.
I don't know if people frown on that or what, but it's one of those things. And of course, I get a little self-gratification on there by saying, this portage marked by Canoehound Adventures, but nonetheless, it's a yellow sign that marks a portage, and hopefully it'll make it a bit easier for other people, right? But
yeah, that would get 2 thumbs up for me for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
So you've got between 40 and 50 episodes so far. Who are some of the guests that you've had on the show?
Okay, well, I'll run you through the list of ones we've got up to this point. There's a couple that we've got recorded, and we just haven't aired them yet. Camper Christina was our first. She was awesome. We learned so much about doing the whole guest thing. I had no idea. She's done that, obviously. So she taught us a ton about how to be good hosts and how things need to run. Spectacular. We yacked about 1 million things, but she's got a couple of courses out. And the beginner courses, which is again perfect for our audience, because they tend to be it's mix and match, but we have a lot of newer audience, newer to camping, which is kind of why we do what we do. Is the hope that we can pass some of that experience and educate them to do those things. So perfect. So she had a beginner backcountry course, which she graciously let me take, and I learned stuff out of it. So awesome.
Very thorough. Course, yeah.
Same here. I actually took it, and she says, "Oh, you probably won't get anything from it." I said, "I bet you I will," because everybody does it a little different, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. She was an absolute sweetie to have on. Next was Kevin Callan. I don't need to talk about him because you know all the things about Kevin Callan.
He was
awesome.
Guy.
He was great. And he's been a hero of mine for ages. Just he's the public face for all the adventure, certainly Ontario-based outdoor adventurer types. Like, he's the guy that's on CBC. He's the guy that shows up on CHCH. That kind of deal. So it was like he's like a celebrity. So it was very cool to just sit and yak with him. Probably my favorite thing to do is just yak to other people. She's also likes me to yak with other people so that she doesn't have to listen to me yak to her about it. Kevin Callan, Tents and Timber, a very, very awesome couple.
Yeah.
Pete Park from Latitude Films.
Yeah.
That guy makes some killer movies, man. Like he doesn't shoot video, he makes movies.
Yeah, very cinematic, right? His French River one was like incredible. Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly it. You want to take the rest?
So we had Tunis and Brittany, so Mrs. Freak of Nature.
Yeah.
We did kind of off the path a little bit. Geocache Adventures lady named Amy. She has her own podcast, so she came on our podcast to talk about geocaching, and then we went on her podcast recently just to talk about us doing a geocache.
Yeah, she threw up a challenge to do when we found one on that French River trip. Weird, because it's in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
We actually found a geocache, and Thomas and I on an 8-hour paddle day, we went and did a geocache in the middle of it, and then had a shore lunch, and then back for another 4 hours of paddling.
So we've got 2 others recorded but not yet released, which are Camping with the Coles, and then Kevin Ride, Backcountry Eats.
Yeah, Kevin Outdoors, the dehydrator.
Yes. Yeah. So those are queued to come out, and lots more that are still being organized as far as scheduling.
I call it the scheduling dance, because everybody's busy, right? Like with their lives period, especially through the summer camping season. Now that we're into shoulder seasons and looking at winter camping and things slowing down a little bit, we're doing the scheduling dance with a whole bunch of people that I'm really looking for. I'm very excited. It's I don't know. It's somewhat humbling to reach out to somebody one of the Adam Schultz, shoot him an email and say, "Hey, dude, would you?" And he's like, "Yeah." What?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have to beg, plead. You were going to tell me no. We'll revisit this in a year. He's like, yeah. I'm a little busy at the moment. If you can wait till the new year, for sure. Okay.
You get the same response I did, actually. Yeah, no, I think he's in the middle of writing a book from his latest expedition there. So I could imagine he's pretty busy. And when he does that, from times I've spoken with Adam in the past, when he puts his nose to the grindstone, it's he's very focused on what he's doing. So
yeah, it sounds very much like he's focused on just, I've got to finish this book because I have a deadline, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and the best part of that is we all know something's coming out from Adam. right? So keep your seatbelts on, people, when that comes out. Jeez,
I'm all good for another book. Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking forward to your 2 upcoming shows then, because I've had both Ben and Cheryl on the show before, and Kevin as well has been on the show a number of times, and they're fantastic guests. There again, they know their stuff. Ben and Cheryl, I don't do a lot of front country camping, but I love watching her videos because they're so thorough with what they do, right? So they've got their little niche, and they've captured that pretty well.
Absolutely. Well, and we spend an inordinate amount of time talking about washrooms because that's Cheryl's thing, right?
Yeah, she's got her Thunderbox rating or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, they were a riot.
No, great people. I actually met them at the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show at the last one there, and we were shooting. Well, we were chatting for a little. You know what I was going to say there.
Were you shooting?
We were shooting
Outdoor Adventure Show.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff. So with all that being said, then you're actually obviously going after people that are interesting to others to be listened to. I had to say that the right way.
I would like to think so. It's totally selfish. It's all people that I'm in awe of, and I can use my platform to get them to come talk to me. So.
Yeah. No, and you know what? It was an amazing thing, because when I first started this show myself, 4 seasons ago, I started out with with the idea. Yeah, I want to talk to people that I enjoy watching, so I can learn a little bit more about them, right? And I was like tickled pink. Kevin Callan's going to be on my show. It was like maybe our 7th episode, right? And 110 episodes later, and Kevin still comes on the show, and we've actually built a pretty good friendship through the whole thing. It's amazing how this type of platform, whether it's a live stream or a podcast, how it actually brings people together. We're all like-minded and we all enjoy this. And that's why, so many of my viewers are here weekly, and I'm sure why so many of your listeners are listening to your podcast all the time. So it's a super good thing you got going there.
Well, and it's interesting with Kevin because as part of the virtual scouting, when we couldn't do in-person meetings and we're scrambling to try to find something to, that would be interesting, but also we're trying to earn the kids their badges. And one of the badges required identifying 3 wildflowers. And it was like, how am I going to teach them how to identify a wildflower over the internet on Zoom? And then sure enough, Kevin had a video about wandering around with his daughter, pointing out different wildflowers. And it was perfect. So I just showed them the video.
Yeah. Cool. That's all right. I won't say it, but maybe you should invite Kevin out to one of your dogs. Like he needs somebody else tugging at his strings, right? Yeah. Okay, so you know what? We're at about 8:00, and just want to take my my normal little break. Great opportunity for you to grab a beverage or get rid of a beverage or freshen up, put new lipstick on there, Tim, whatever it might be, right? And but we'll just take care of the sponsors. I just want to let everybody know that I just dropped a link into the chat. If anybody would like to come on up and ask Tim and Pamela a question or add a comment or a compliment or whatever it might be, or just share with what's on your mind, feel free to join us. It's very easy to log in. Just hit the button, put your name in, camera, microphone, and you're off to the races. So please join us. You guys wouldn't mind taking questions from any of the viewers out there?
Absolutely.
Not at all.
We'd love to.
All righty. Okay, so I'm just going to put you in the base. I'm going to take care of a few commitments, and then we'll have you back in a few moments.
Awesome.
Great. Yeah. So for those of you that may not be familiar with Super Good Camping, the podcast, you can go to supergoodcamping.ca, I believe it is. And I'll get that on screen in a minute, but definitely check out their thing. In the meantime, I'm just going to take a quick little commercial break and we'll be right back at it.
There's nothing like being out there. For over 50 years, we've been connecting people with nature by building classic Canadian canoe designs using the best materials available. We built a reputation on durable, dependable canoes that allow you to focus on what's important, whether that's unplugging in remote wilderness, spending quality time with your favorite people, or nailing the perfect line. Visit novacraft.com to find the perfect canoe for you and locate your nearest authorized dealer.
Tonight's episode of Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show is brought to you by OTG Meals. Fresh, freeze-dried, small batch meals made for people on the go. Algonquin Outfitters, with 4 key locations in and around Algonquin Park to serve your backcountry needs. Kid Products, stick stoves and reflector ovens proudly made in Canada. And Novacraft Canoes, connecting you with nature in Canadian-made canoes since 1970. Alrighty, and welcome back to Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show. We'll be right back with Tim and Pamela from Super Good Camping. Right now is my OTG Meal of the Week, and I have been waiting to do this one because I've been sitting here this entire show staring at something that I've just been wanting to dig into. This week's OTG Meal of the Week is actually something on the sweeter side. It's one of their ice cream Sammies. Yes, a freeze-dried ice cream sandwich that tastes just like an ice cream sandwich should taste. It's a little dry, but you know what? It just melts in your mouth and you're going to absolutely love it. You not only do you get one of these things in a package, but you get 2 ice cream Sammies, and they're like under $8 for 2 ice cream sandwiches, freeze dried to take into backcountry. You can share it with your honey or your buddy, or you know what, just not share it with anybody. Keep it all to yourself. And you know what, I think that would be all right. make them bring their own, right? Anyways, you can find all kinds of great food, all kinds of great snacks and treats from OTG Meals at otgmeals.ca. And by all means, you know what? OTG Meals is there and for people on the go. So by all means, check them out, otgmeals.ca. Anyways, we will get back into tonight's show here and tonight's guest. Let's just bring back Tim and Pamela to the screen. Hey, guys, welcome back.
Hi.
You know what? We'll have a little bit of a swag giveaway if that's cool. Tim, you mentioned that you have something that you would like to throw in.
We'd love to throw a couple of shirts in. We've ordered them. I think they come in on the 20th,
something like
that. If we can wait that long, we'd love to. We'd love to throw in a couple of shirts.
Awesome. Well, you know what? First, I'm going to congratulate last week's winner, who was Evan Lefebvre. I believe I've seen him in the chat here tonight. Congratulations, Evan. My portion of the prize is out already, and I've notified Juan Pablo, and you should have a book out to you very soon. By the way, great book. Anybody that missed last week's show with Juan Pablo Quiones, who was the winner of Alone Season 9, it was a great show, and he has recently launched a book called Thrive. It's available through a bunch of different outlets. I believe I have the link to it down below. By all means, check it out. It's a great book. It's a great reference book because it's got all kinds of survival tips in there for long-term survival. And that's about that's my book report right there. But by all means, check it out. So for tonight's swag giveaway, if Tim's got a couple of, or Tim and Pamela have a couple of T-shirts to give away, I will match that with a couple of Canoe Hound Adventures prize packs. And I guess I will pop the question here on screen, but please do not put the answer in the chat. If you can please, where's my, too many things here. Please send your answers to coasprize@gmail.com by Saturday at 11 o'clock. At that time, I'll do a drawing and I'll notify the winners, collect your information. Then I will share that with Tim and Pamela, and they'll get out their portion. I'll get out my portion, and that's all good to go. So we touched on this a couple times. How many episodes of Super Good Camping have been aired since they began in November 2020? There's kind of the answers between here and here. So I'll let you all figure that out. Drop me an email at coasprize@gmail.com, and we'll see if we can't win you some swag. With that being said, I'll leave this on the bottom of the screen, and we'll get back into our little chit-chat, a little bit more about the show. Crowning moments. What are some of your favorite moments that you've had on the show? If you're between this many episodes and that many, you have to have a few that were sort of milestones. I won't ask you your favorites, but some milestones.
Well, I actually jotted down some highlights of the episodes, especially the guest interviews. So, I mean, just talking to him, I get to do that every day. So it's not as much of a highlight.
She's
but
lying.
Yeah, the highlights of our guest episodes. Camper Christina shared with us that she was winter camping on the coldest day on the planet. And they actually, at the park she was at, they notified all of the campers that were there that night that they were actually camping on the coldest day of the planet, which I thought was amazing that anywhere in Ontario actually would be the coldest place on the planet. But anyway, that was one of the highlights for me. And
to be out in a tent in that day.
Yes. So that was one.
That was cool.
Kevin Callan, he shared with us just on the podcast, but it's also evident in his book. He mentions that he was going through a lot at the time that he wrote, or that he was doing the Meanest Link with his buddy Andy. And so he was talking to us about just, emotionally what he was going through and what motivated going on that particular trip. And he mentions it also in Once Around Algonquin. And he said that in Once Around Algonquin, he also mentioned that poor Andy had blown his knee out on that trip too, which I thought, what a trooper to carry on and keep going and support your buddy in that kind of situation.
Yeah. The cool thing about that too is Andy wanted to duck out early, and then he actually said, "No way, I'm finishing this." Right. So, yeah,
that's amazing. Tents and Timber. So they talked us through their West Coast trail trip, and they were talking about having to time certain portions of their trip because of the tides. That if you didn't catch you weren't at this particular place at this particular time. The tide was going to come in. You weren't going to be able to make it through that spot, and then you weren't going to be on schedule to get to the next place you were supposed to be in. Anyways, it was very interesting. It wasn't something that you normally have to deal with on a trip that you've got to deal with the tides.
Well, everyone. I enjoy doing our episodes, but the guest episode, there's so much. It's like, okay, cool, great. We finished our half hour or whatever. Hey, want to come back? I'd like to talk to you some more. It's just, they're just such.
Yeah. Pete Park from Latitudes, he talked about gray owl, and at the time I really had no idea what he was talking about, so I was just like smile and nod. But then I looked into what he was talking about, and it was really fascinating. It was about this British gentleman who came here and passed himself off basically as an Indigenous man. But he was a conservationist, like he did good things, except he was apparently deluding everybody into thinking that he was an Indigenous person when he in fact wasn't.
Yeah.
But anyways, so it kind of mixed feelings as far as that's concerned. We're all about conservation and taking care of the land, and anyway, but the deception was kind of interesting part too. Anyway, so he's working on that. That was a project he was working on at the time that we were talking to him. So I don't know if that's
right. No, I haven't seen a big project out from him yet. Yeah. I don't think so.
Tunis and Brittany, Mr. and Mrs. Freak of Nature. So talking to them about how they have sometimes had to go rescue people that were
got in over their
overascribed themselves and ended up in a situation that they couldn't get out of it. Or sometimes it sounded to some extent like it was people that really just didn't want to make the effort of coming back out again.
Yeah, which is, that's, I don't know. Everybody has a different sort of threshold of what is an emergency. So at what point do you go, like, if you've got a broken leg and you're solo camping and you're 3 portages and 4 lakes in, okay, that's a push the SOS chance. You could, I don't know, if you have a really incredible pain threshold, you've got duct tape, you could grab a branch, duct tape your leg back together and take a shot at hobbling out. You know what? I will probably push the SOS at that point. But there's other ones where it seems, again, back to that. If you don't know, if you haven't done this before, if you're not educated, you don't know what is necessarily an emergency. Like, oh, I ate all my food and I still have a day. Okay, well, so start heading out now. That's your adjustment, right?
Come on, it's you don't know what you don't know. That's the thing. Like, until you're in that situation, and then I didn't plan my food properly. So
sure. Or my kid didn't pack it properly.
Didn't hack it properly.
That happened.
Start hiking out a day early, right?
Exactly. Or
no, you know what? I think I was mentioning in the green room there that I'm hoping to put together a show next week to deal with spot, in reach, and Zolios. And I'll probably, I'll put out a casting call for it right now. If any of you have a spot in reach, or a spot, a Garmin, or a Zolio, and you really know your device, and you have something that you might like to share, drop me an email at canoehound@gmail.com, because I'd like to get some people on panel next week that really know their stuff. And I know, Tim, you had a great episode on that there, where you discussed a lot of the comparisons and a lot of the rates between, because they all charge differently, but they all get that dollar out of you the same way, right? It seems to be fairly even across the board with the way they do it. So I thought maybe we might be able to cover on something like that next week.
For sure. Yep. Love to.
Yeah. So you guys might see Tim back on the show next week. You never know, right? We'll see what happens.
I've been on the receiving end of the Zolio messages. And the receiving end of the Zolio messages, last year I was getting, I'm okay, when Tim was sick as a dog on the trip last year. So anyways.
They come with, we'll get into it next week. They come with pre-packaged messages. It essentially say, I'm okay, this is my location, talk to you tomorrow, whatever. And yeah, Thomas and I were doing, we actually, again, I was trying to do an easy one. We did a loop out of, oh God, now we went through Tom Thompson. We ended up on Burnt Island Lake But about 3 days in, I started running a fever. So we were at the farthest end of our loop. So I thought, okay, well, you know what? We'll go to Burnt Island. It's not that big of a paddle and stuff. We'll hang out. We're supposed to be there for 2 days. We'll see how that plays out. It didn't get any better. So I kept saying, I'm good. I'm all good.
I'm okay. And then he got home and it was just like, you are not okay. You've been lying to me with this oleo the whole time.
Well, last thing he wants you to do is to be worried about you.
Exactly, which is
right?
why we got I got a communicator in the first place. It wasn't so much for me; it was to make other people be chill about, you know, the getting more senior guy going out in the woods and doing the thing. So
peace of mind.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
One of the eye openers for me, and we'll probably talk about it next week, was one of the guys that was tripping with us had a heart attack. Not on a trip, but like in between seasons, he had a heart attack, right? And it just kind of made me think, like I had nothing up until the time, and I go, you know what? Maybe I should get something because, like, you know, I'm in my 50s now, and it'd be kind of cool to just at least give the wife that peace of mind that, yeah, as long as she's getting some kind of message, I'm still alive. Right?
That's exactly it.
Yep. So. But yeah, so like, you know, that's I think everybody should have one when they go into the backcountry. Some people say no, I don't want any electronics, but you know what? It's like carrying bear spray. You need it, you use it. If you don't need it, you don't use it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I was pretty resistant up to that point, and it was not pestering.
Encouraging.
Yeah, now that I have one, I wouldn't go back. Every day I check in. Cool.
I do appreciate it too. It does relieve some worry. And my fear partly was there's something happening to him, but also that we're sending a 15-year-old kid at the time out with somebody. And what happens if something happened to him? And then the 15-year-old is out there by himself in the middle of nowhere with no cell signal. What's he going to do? He's got no means of trying to, like, at 15, you don't have the wherewithal to know, okay, here's the plan that I'm going to do to get us out of here. So anyway, it was a way of also not having a 15-year-old kid out there in the middle of nowhere without any means of communicating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So where do a lot of your ideas come for your shows? Is it just through your own experiences, or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you take suggestions or recommendations from any of your viewers or listeners? Sorry.
The weight versus need one was from a listener. Mostly it has been just our own experiences, though. Things we felt would be in things we wish we'd known maybe along the way. Things that happened to us that we had hoped out somebody circumvent having that happen to them. Some of it is just like gear that we do feel is really worthwhile, like tents that we have that we thought were like really good tents. And
yeah, we don't have any sponsorship or anything like that. No. So we do gear review because people need to know about cooking gear, about tents, about sleeping bags, about whatever. And so when we do that sort of stuff, it's things that we own, things that I'm familiar with. Obviously the communicator thing, I just did a pile of research. I sort of like that. Yeah, as far as the ideas, it's something we tripped over, an aha moment on a previous trip. You know, I have notebooks, man. I write everything down, and then or Pamela will suggest something. She's like, she'll be reading a different article or something. Somebody mentioned something. She's like, hey, what about? Okay, cool. I'll pull it whatever out of my brain from my experience. I'll research some more stuff, and absolutely, we can sit and yak for it. I mean, it's not, as you mentioned when we were in the green room earlier at the beginning of the show. You know, it's not long format for the most part for us. It's only 10-ish, 12-ish minutes. So, you know, you can put out a decent amount of information without exhausting a subject in that window of time and not making people, you know,
yawning,
drift off and have a nap. So, yeah.
And some of the park stuff was just like, these were parks that we've been to, and these are the things that we enjoyed about that particular park. Like Sybil with the bottle cap collection thing. And Killbear, that we had this beautiful fern backyard at the back of our campsite. The kids loved it. They had a ball just running around in there hiding. And Grundy Lake, we did cliff jumping. So we actually have a video on our YouTube channel, which has like 6 subscribers.
When she says we, she means the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Not this guy.
This guy will do backcountry camping, except he's afraid of heights. So he did not do any cliff jumping, but he did the videoing of the cliff jumping.
I will happily shoot video.
Arrowhead.
You'll never catch me caving either. So
we spelunking. Brandon and I have done spelunking on some of our camping trips, and we love. There's Warsaw Caves up by Peterborough area. They're just amazing. Brandon and I have been there a couple of times and just loved it.
Yeah.
So moose at Arrowhead, too, the Stubbs Falls, which we just happened to be, our site was like right backing on to Stubbs Falls. So we lucked out as far as campsite.
Yeah. Guess who planned the trip, right? Spent all kinds of time researching.
You didn't know. Come on.
I get to take credit for it.
The Big Bend Lookout at Arrowhead was one of our favorite things too. Bon Echo, Mazenau Rock. So we paddled over to Mazenau Rock, hiked up to the top of it. It was a cool experience.
So really, what Pamela's saying is it's easy. You just, as long as you're out there, you're enjoying the things that you're doing outdoors, and you're taking in those experiences. It's really easy to just go, yeah, I love that thing. I love that thing. I love that thing. And plus we're trying to be, I think it's easy. We're trying to be positive about most things. I know I go off on the rant about people leaving garbage and stuff in the backcountry, in the front country. That's a pet peeve of mine. Outside of that, we try to make it be an enjoyable experience, because we do want people to get out and do those things, man. Get outside. Stop sitting at home staring at your phone, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
easy
to be flipping through Netflix and YouTube, right? I know, I watch. We don't have cable TV, so I watch YouTube. Is my TV, right? So that's how I keep caught up. And the best part of it is the more I watch it, the more content ideas that I could come up with, right? And there seems to be so many up and coming, and for lack of a different term, but so many up and coming YouTubers now that are really starting to take a stronghold in this community of ours. And it's not just for canoeing or backpacking, but you got cycling, and you got there's just so much outdoor adventuring that you can actually partake in.
That's the term. Right? Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Thing that it's and I've said it before, although it may not be on record. One of the things that I most like about specifically about here in Ontario is the outdoor adventure community is huge, and it's such a good thing, a positive thing. Everybody supports each other, and they all seem to know each other. It might have been Tents and Timber. I can't remember one of the interviews, because last year, was it last year? The Outdoor Adventure Show, the last one that we had in Toronto, Mr. Callan running around like a lunatic with his camera, and then he seemed to have corralled a whole bunch of all the people we watch on YouTube, and he turns around and does like a selfie with the whack of them, and it is, you're looking, you're seeing all the people that we watch that come on your show and stuff, and they're all everybody's just thrilled to be doing what they do. I think that's such an amazing thing. It bodes well for everybody, for us.
At that show, we had quite the gathering of YouTubers were at that show. I was over at the Kid Products display, and it almost turned into sort of a gathering spot, because we were right beside the stage where I did my presentation with Kevin and Hap. And just Krina from Alexis Outdoors was there. Tunis and Brittany were there. Tents and Timbers, Rob and Sabrina, Ontario Camping Cup. There are just so many, eh? And yeah, Kevin and his little magic bullet camera. That thing pops out, and he's like, "Uh-oh, you're in trouble now, right?" Yeah.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, it's so cool. It's it's such a range of the youngsters, the Tents and Timber, just because they're a favorite of mine. I quite like them, but they're going to probably not be thrilled. A young couple like that, and then you've got, and I'm sorry, Hap. You've got Hap Wilson, who's just, he's been doing it forever. He's such a wealth of information. He's a protector. All of those, you've got such a range, and yet everybody can work. Like it all combines together. I don't have the words, unfortunately. It blows my skull. I'm amazed at what a cool thing it is.
It's the love for the outdoors, right? We all have that in common, right? Yeah. That's the common denominator right there, is the love for the outdoors, and everybody just wants to share it, wants to be a part of it, and just think how many people are out there that are the same as us, right? But they don't share it. The experiences are, the stories that we can hear from that. And I love talking to people about the outdoors just based on that, because it doesn't matter. Everybody's got a story to tell about an adventure, right? And it might not always be a good story, but it's just the misfortunes in the backcountry always seem to be the best stories and the most remembered, right? I've got so many trips that I've forgotten about pretty much because, nothing happened. It was like you went through the whole thing, beautiful, everything was good, but you didn't have that rainstorm, or you didn't lose your air mattress, or you didn't dump your canoe, or you know what I mean? Or the bear didn't get your food, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a saying about the worst decisions make the best stories. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to ask you, when you were talking about the your French trip there, did you have any bear issues or anything? Because I know they're having some real problems up there right now, right?
No, in all our years, we've had a few bear experiences. I wouldn't say bear run-ins. We did see a couple of cubs at one point scampering up some granite when we were coming out from a portage in a very narrow, and it was just, Thomas, paddle faster, paddle faster. On the French, no, we saw all kinds of cool things. Not one of them was a bear. We did see, actually, I think you mentioned, I was joking around, that was a giant raccoon, because here in Toronto, I have a picture of my foot with a small bear print beside it. We have raccoons that are that big, man. I'm telling you, they open up our garbage bins, and it's crazy. They look like small, like large dogs.
They know how to unlock the compost bin. They figured out how to turn the thing and open the lid.
Yeah, raccoons have been the bane of my backcountry experience by and large.
We did have bears when it was a Grundy, I think, in
your brother's site.
Yeah. And passed through our site at one point, but he was
young. He was a yearling, something like that. It wasn't. He was skittish. So, as soon as you made a little noise or whatever, gone.
Yeah, that could change quick though, right? One head in the cooler, and before you know it,
we've seen some mango coolers, boy.
Yeah, people don't realize that. Just one taste of human food or human garbage, and before you know it, bears they'll keep coming back and back and back if it's a food source, right? So
bold.
Got a question here from Robin Sabrina over at Ontario Camping Couple asking, have you ever considered collaborating with a guest and record the podcast during the trip?
So that's kind of an interesting twist. Yeah, because we've done collaborating with a guest. We've done record a podcast during the trip, but we haven't done both things together.
Haven't done the both.
Yeah.
Well, the collaborating thing is a new thing. I mean, other than having guests on the show, the young lady, Amy from the Geocache Adventures, that's the first sort of collaborative thing we've tried before. So that's a new color in the palette. I don't see why not. I would absolutely dig doing that. Yeah.
Thanks, it seems to be at least in the YouTube community. You say you got 4 or 5 subscribers to your channel?
I think we have like 8.
You really need to work on that, right? Yeah.
We've quadrupled our subscribership.
Just like everybody keeps telling me, why don't you turn your show into a podcast? I go, because I haven't got the foggiest idea how to do it, right?
Well, see, and we're not. So we're content creators. Is that the right term? I don't even know anymore. I'm old. I have an IT department that's in their room on their phones right now. I hate editing video. Not hate, sorry. I'm very sucky at it. I'm slightly less sucky than I used to be, but not by much. So I have tons of footage. I just don't put the videos in. Podcasting, dead easy. I can do that stuff all day, no problem. I've got the editing down pat now. That's easy. So I'll teach you how to do that. You teach me how to do videos things. All right. Then
I'm not sure I'd be the best teacher to teach how to edit videos. Let me tell you that, right?
I don't know. I like yours, man.
Yeah, thanks. No, yeah, you know what? It for me, I find it just so hard. I haven't got the time. I've got like 4 trip videos sitting quite literally like in front of me here on memory sticks, and I just don't have time to edit, including like my big trip from last year, right?
The rough
and
one.
Part of the problem is like, now that COVID is like, we're getting back to the new norm, right? A lot more of my time is taken back up now by work, right? I have that there. My family has grown like, by 3 family members in the last 2 years.
Right.
And they're my grandkids, man. You spend as much time with them as you can, right? I got my oldest grandson, the 2-year-old, in the canoe for the very first time this past weekend here. So It was like, to me, I was happy grandpa, right? But some people don't realize, like, I'm not sure how much goes into putting a podcast together, but I don't imagine it's easy when you're trying to line up guests. I don't know if you put together a script, but you said you like keeping notes and stuff like that. So it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yes.
No, you can be honest. You know what? Because it is. I say it all the time. That if it weren't for my viewers and my regular viewers drop me suggestions, sometimes I'd be stuck in the mud without anything, because you get that brain freeze, right? Just yeah.
Yeah, you get focused on things, and life happens too. So you can't just ignore that. So yes, there are certainly blocks of time where you get to the end of the week and it's like, holy mackerel, man, I feel like I just did a whole week's worth of work, because you recorded 3 podcasts, you edited 4 more, you reached out to 3 or 4 guests, and you're doing that
promoted
scheduling
on social
dance,
media.
and
But and then we have paying jobs. So we have jobs.
Exactly. You have the things to pay the bills, right? Yeah. And you know what? Like that's why I'll give everybody kind of a timeline of like how it went for Tim and Pamela here to have them on the show. So I knew I was going away for the weekend, leaving on Thursday and coming back on Monday for like our Thanksgiving getaway that we do every year. So I had to set all the show up before, well before, and of course send the itinerary over to Tim and Pamela, right? And then from there, then the weekend goes, and then I have to follow up, which would have been yesterday. Was it yesterday? Or no, I did a follow up today, wasn't it?
Today.
I sent you an email. Yep. So all these things just to make this happen. So what do you find one of the hardest parts of putting on a podcast is?
With guests, wrangling them. I don't know. I'm sorry. That might come out sounding negative. It's not. It's been a learning.
No, you know what? You used a perfect term, wrangling up a guest. You know what? It takes a lot of emailing, following up. First off, maybe getting a person even to recognize who you are, because a lot of the guests I've reached out to, for example, Justin Barber, right? One of my favorite YouTube channels, and he's got way more viewers than I do. And when I first reached out to him, it was kind of hard to, as I say, set the hook, because he had never heard of my channel. He didn't know what the show was, and I think maybe Kevin Callan might have put a little buzz in his ear, and that's what it takes, for us to work together to be able to get our guests to realize who we are, right, and what we do. And a lot of times when I do get a guest on, and it'll be the same for you, I'm quite sure that, once you've made that connection, it gets easier.
Well, yeah, for sure. Every single guest so far, it's in it, just in the the blah blah at the back end of the show, the stuff that we edit out. So nobody, but you like, would you be interested? It's like, oh yeah, we'll come back. Cool. That's that's a very gratifying, and there's always There's always so much more to talk about with people. But yeah, getting that initial, getting them on the show in the first place can be, some of them have been quick and easy. Very, very, I want to say Tunis and Brittany were dead easy to get to just go blah, 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 and just figure out, where after your trip, can we slide it in there? How does that work? Whatever. Tents and Timber was easy too. Some of them, sometimes you send it out and you wait for a couple of months, and then you send out another one and you wait and don't hear back and go, okay, I don't know if I'm shouting into the ether and it's just, it's getting caught in the spam filter. I'm not going to keep pestering them. Whatever. Yeah. Maybe someday they'll hear about us and come back to me. I don't know. And then there's other ones that are they're insanely busy. Joe Robinette, we've been back and forth a handful of times now. I actually spoke to him on the phone last week. He's totally happy to come on the show. He's like, cool, that'll be fun. Finding a time to even talk about it has been challenging. He's a really insanely busy guy. So
well, when you think about it, like YouTube is his living, right? And he's been really busy with his Robinette Outfitters website that he's been just recently launched. So there's a lot going on for, that's what we have to consider too as hosts of a show, right? Is that we have to consider the other person's schedule as well. Like you had mentioned Adam Schultz, right? Well, Adam Schultz is up to here right now, busy, most likely writing his book. And, right. And so we have to understand that there's been YouTubers that I have tried to get a hold of and never ever had a response. And like you say, you don't want to be that stalker type of person, right? Or harassing type of person. It's like, well, you try a couple times, and if it doesn't happen, maybe try again in a year or something, and maybe during that time they'll catch wind of what you're doing. And
that's the thing, especially for us in podcast land. I mean, well, especially, I think a lot of the content creators, they're busy doing their own thing. They're not. I'm sure that they're aware of other content creators. I'm positive a bunch of us all watch each other's YouTube channel. Not that I count myself in that thing, but you know what I'm saying. For podcasts though, it's we're just a different thing. We'd like to. It's not. There's almost. I don't want to sound full of myself. What we do in the podcast world is unique. There's all kinds of, and I'm not saying they're anything. There's all kinds of RV shows. There's all kinds of through hiker shows, like the hardcore sort of stuff. There's nobody that does what we do. So we have a sort of a niche audience, and which is great. We love it. And we're glad that we have those, how many ever thousands of people. But I don't know that a lot of people that do the YouTube thing in particular, but sometimes the Instagram, the whatever. I don't know that they would be aware of us. So I don't want to come across as that stalker thing, because they're like, who the heck are you, right?
Yeah. Ultimately, it just takes a whole lot of footwork and people working together, right? Kevin Callan has connected me to so many people, and I give him credit for that all the time. Kevin is a connector. Right. And what you see with Kevin Callan is what you get. He's a sincere fella. And that's why I enjoy having him on the show too much, is because he's a character, but he's very sincere. Right.
He's a character.
Quick question here from Gord Keith. And thanks, Gord, for the compliment. I appreciate that up above there. But question to Tim and Pamela, who would you like to have on your show? An ultimate guest. Maybe they see this and they reach out. Right.
So we're fortunate that we have a couple in the works, like Adam Schultz and Joe Robinette.
Yeah.
Chris Prouse, I think, is on our hit list of somebody we would like to have.
Yep. I would.
Karina Outdoors, I think you mentioned as well.
Alexis
Outdoors. Sorry, Karina.
Honestly.
And I could tell you honestly, from my experiences with every one of them that you mentioned, very approachable people, 100%. Chris Prouse and Julia, fantastic people. Karina, more than willing. By all means, if they're watching tonight,
yeah, by all means, reach out
right?
to us. Absolutely love to book you in.
You must have somebody on your.
So, you know what? Honestly, when Adam said yes, I just about lost.
Oh, and Hat Wilson is helpful.
Hat Wilson is awesome too. Except I don't think I can. I don't think I'm at that level of like Hat is. He knows everything. He knows the history.
Tim, he'll walk you right through it. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Never underestimate yourself. Never underestimate yourself, because what you got going is a great thing. Hey, look at this. Look at this. Hey, I heard my name. Please get in touch.
Oh
there
God.
You go.
Okay.
Chris, Pamela, meet Chris. That's awesome. We just had somebody pop into the basement there. Let's see if I can introduce this person in one of our old styles.
Hi, I'm Kevin Cowan, the Happy Camper.
Woo! Yes, I'm apostle number 14. Well, if you visited me instead, you would have been fine. It's a one sexy beast, I'm telling you. I called you poopy pants. Sorry about that.
Did you really?
I will hold in my urine for you, Dennis.
You have to remind Kevin that this is a family show.
What about the chipmunks?
Awesome.
Hello, Kevin.
Hey!
Been a while since you've seen that intro, eh?
It's a long time, actually. Oh, my God.
Since last season.
Oh!
I will hold my urine for you.
I don't know if I can hold my urine if you're going to say stuff like that.
Speaking of holding urine, I just came off a trip with Mr. Baxter, and I forgot that he brings a pee bottle. And there's nothing worse than actually waking up half dazed and realizing that your best buddy is peeing in a bottle above your head.
Although you don't mistake it for apple juice or something.
Yeah, you know what they say about that, eh, Kevin? Get your own tent.
I know. It was funny the last trip too that that was the first time, because of COVID, him and I shared a tent together for a couple of years, and I just said I hope COVID happens again.
So you
just joking.
Get back in your get back in your own tent that way, right?
No, man. No, it was funny too, because we're snoring, and then we complained about snoring in the morning. He said I snore more. I said he snored more. And then Tim, that was sleeping beside me, said, "No, you're both as bad as like it was terrible." So yeah. Anyway,
I listened to your show just today. You on with Tim and Pamela on Super Good Camp,
with you.
and that was a good show.
What? You just caught the show like today?
No. I told them I've been binge listening. I do that. I binge watch or I binge listen, right? And that's what I've been doing. One day I'll start watching your videos, Kevin.
Come on, quit your job, quit your day job, quit your entire business you run, and start watching more videos. For heaven's sakes.
What's wrong with you?
I know, right?
Oh, get a life. Sorry. I once again, sorry. I missed the beginning of your show. I was busy working today, but got back and I went, "Hey, woohoo! I know them. I
know you."
Yeah. So it was good. So I missed most of the questions you probably asked in the beginning. So bear with me. But I do have. Okay. What would be your next top 3 people you would have on your show? Go.
Yeah, he did come in late, didn't he?
Oh, really?
He came in about 14 seconds ago.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. Oh, we can repeat because they're actually good guests.
I don't know if I can nail it down to 3, but I can probably give you 6, 7, 8, something like that.
What?
Chris Prouse just said give her a yell, so that's going to be one.
Okay, yeah.
We got Joe Robinette is coming up soon.
Yeah.
We're still scheduling. Adam Schultz.
Okay, so if you want some leeway to get into those people, contact Chris Prouse again and say, look, you have time for an interview because you've been editing your Once Around Algonquin Park video for 5 years now.
The new,
you obviously, Chris, she's out there, right? Chris, you've got time.
They just did it again for funsies.
Yeah. Yeah, they have more time to do the route than they do have to get the film out. So obviously they have time to do the interview. Joe Robinette say, look, really, like you don't have a real job, you know.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to say that.
No,
So
really,
Kevin says you don't have a real
you don't have
job.
a real job.
He
So
was
obviously you
right,
have time for us, you know. So yeah.
See this right here. This right here is absolutely the best. Like I would do podcasts for like 10 more years just for having fun like this. Like this is just a riot. I love it.
And that's what it's
you missed
all
what we
about.
said about you, though, Kevin.
Which
No,
she said bad things.
I missed the whole
Bad things.
thing.
Yeah.
What happened?
Nothing. No, we're not. You'll have to go back and watch it tomorrow.
Yeah. You got to start right from the beginning, dude.
You got time.
So, as an FYI, everybody, Kevin just put out a video there, and you got to test ride the new Novacraft canoe.
Ooh, it was nice.
Yeah.
You know what was really nice too is to go paddling with Chris, the owner, the new owner. I knew Tim, the old owner, but to go with because we do all these shows. You guys do all the shows, and we get busy. We chit chat and do the shows, and you go home. But actually, Chris, he said, "Well, we got this new look. Can you come to the shop and give it a try?" It was actually my buddy Andy said, "Tell him it has to go on a real canoe trip. Like we're not going to paddling around Fanshawe Pond in London. That's just wrong." So I said, "Hey Chris, you want to go on a canoe trip?" And he's really busy. Like he's building boats at night, right? So for him to go on the trip, and what was beautiful is the first thing happens, guys. I have the worst luck in the world. So I take the owner of Novacraft Canoe that has a brand new model out, and he wants to get good video and photos of it. And I forgot about checking water levels, and we get to the first creek to go, and it's just dry as a bone. And we scratch the living crap out of that boat. And he's knee deep in water and mud, and he's looking at me. And what does he do? He goes, "You're an idiot, Kevin. You're an idiot." Oh my god! And my buddy Andy, and then Tim are laughing. Like you obviously don't realize the true sense of tripping with Kevin Callan, do you?
Sorry.
Oh.
I've heard that before. Tim, you're an idiot. Yes, I am.
Oh man, and it was a beautiful looking boat, and we did get into the lake, and it was good. And we were out for actually a couple of nights, 3 days, and paddled around, and yeah, it was good. In fact, actually, I think it was, to be quite honest, it was good just to get Chris out in his own element, because he is a canoe tripper, but he's been too busy making canoes. Yeah. So I think, it's a nice boat, and he'll sell lots because it looks nice. It reflects. I mean, you can actually see it's just like the shoreline on a calm day. You can actually see the shoreline reflect on the boat. Like it's like whoa, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a pretty boat. Yeah, pretty boat.
Yeah, but just get him out and have a good blast. And yeah, it was good. It was cold though. It was cold. It snowed.
Good luck on you guys, right?
Oh, and we were going to bring the hot tent, and I said, no, it's not late yet. So.
That's funny.
Maybe it was cumulative. Kevin, you're an idiot. All of the things.
I know. It was actually kind of cool for Chris to realize that Kevin isn't this legend that people talking about. Kevin is just like a freaking fool running around with.
Well, he kept saying, he says, I thought I was dealing with the professionals.
Oh my god!
Nope, just an average guy.
Nope. Yeah, things happen on that trip. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Oh, that's cool. So, Kevin, you've done many interviews in all different forms, right? Whether it's television or live streams and podcasts. And what advice do you have for podcasters and YouTube live streamers? What do you have for advice?
I would say, because it's tough to keep going, because you have this idea, you have this epiphany one night, and then all of a sudden you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And the only thing that gets you through that about you got to do it. Because I got to tell you, the amount of times I was on CBC radio when I would get up at 3:30 in the morning, drive there, so I'm on at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm on until about 2 in the afternoon. I come back, have a nap, and then go to my real job because I actually had to pay my bills. Right? So I don't know. You got to just do it if you like it. If you don't like it, if it's a facade, if you're narcissistic and doing it for that reason, you'll last maybe a year or two or become really famous. One or the other. But the true gems are in between. The ones that actually are not doing it to be narcissistic, or the ones that actually do it for, this sounds really sappy, guys.
No.
But really, really, why did I write guidebooks? Because I wanted people to go out there so they can save nature, so that we can have it for generations to come. I didn't do it because I was going to be wealthy or because I thought it'd be really important.
Here's how we're being a smart ass, eh? Canoe Adventures never start a new season and take the next week off.
Oh, that's true. You did do that.
Alan.
That's a good point.
You did do that. Yeah, but you guys, well, Dennis, you already know, we've talked about it, and you guys know too. Like you started this off, and really, there has to be nights or mornings or afternoons where you're like, who thought this idea? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty regular thing I say to them.
He blames me.
It's like, what the hell were you thinking?
So here's the thing. I'll ask you. So what started it and why?
I'm guilty of starting it. Why is just because we both believe strongly in nature and outdoors and appreciating and conserving our environment.
And getting other people out there under the same circumstances, just trying to instill some of that love, that care, that I don't want to be sappy, that guardianship of the outdoors. If we can contribute to betterment of that, yay. I
think you said it on our show, actually, Kevin, just that you're authentic and you're real when you're outside in nature like that. That it brings out your true self. There's no fake. There's no, and that's just the kind of people we are too.
And also too, like if you've talked about this before, the community, we are. You can't do it alone, right? And if you have the sense of all the community around you, sort of jumping in and helping you out, then you feel that the world's not lost, right? That's really sappy. Oh my Lord, that's sappy.
No, but that's bang on. Like you're on the money. So the guest episodes we've done, if there's one underlying theme, it's that the same reason we're doing it. That's why they're doing it. And like the leave no trace, the take care of nature and everybody, like they come on in a supportive way. The Outdoor Adventure Show, that for me, that and the time that the bunch of them got together and did a winter trip.
The Rat Pack.
Yeah, exactly. But it was very much like a community sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like it was like friends hanging out, all doing the same thing, doing those. Everybody's supportive of each other to the end goal of protecting what we all love.
Yeah, I felt that on the last trip too, where again, there's the owner of Novacraft Canoe that I kind of don't know because the new guy, I knew Tim, the old owner, but he's on the trip with us. And I think the feeling was when I was driving back with him was he was reminded of that. Like this is the guy that actually must make $1. He bought a business before the pandemic. He was like, oh my God, what have I done? And he's all business. Now, all of a sudden, he's got to build boats at night because so many people want his canoes. And all of a sudden, he's on this trip, and we start joking around. Like, you have to be on a trip with Andy Baxter to realize that it is funny as hell. You have to be there with that man. When he brought the toque, and I'm thinking, this is not scripted. This is not scripted at all. And Andy has a job. Andy, well, he's retired from the M&R, whatever, but there's no real reason for Andy Baxter to be with me on that trip. He's not getting financial monies. He's not doing, and I don't knock that. I think if you're getting money, that's fantastic, but Andy's not doing it. That man, the very first trip he did with me was 28 days in Quetico, and I was working on the Quetico guidebook. Why did he go with me? He didn't get anything from that. Still actually like picking ticks out of my lower enemy. But the thing is like, so for Chris to see that, he saw what real canoe tripping was about. And yes, Kevin was an idiot. Tim was a good cook. Andy was a fool. Funny as hell. Came back and he was rejuvenated about going back and making more boats, right? Because that was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. So for you guys for doing a podcast, probably now too, because you've got into the game too, where you're like questioning it. Like Dennis, again, we talked about before. Dennis questions it all the time. Like he's got this job, he's got a family, but at the end of the day, we still have a community, right? So, oh my Lord, I sound like a Baptist minister.
I think part of the biggest thing of being somebody that's doing live streams like this, or maybe somebody that's got a podcast. You look at the guys from Paddling Adventures Radio. They said they don't do it for the money. They do it for the love of what they're doing, right? Because by all means, like being a YouTuber, being a podcaster, you're not making money doing this, right? Like if I were to average out my average earnings in YouTube versus the amount of time that I spent putting these shows together and any of the content that I've had from trips and stuff like that, I'd probably be at about maybe a third of a cent an hour. You know what I mean? Over the average, right? We're not all making money hand over fist like Kevin Callan pumping out the video.
Oh my Lord, I know. Well, first of all, we should. I mean, to go back. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I mean, if you're making money doing it, fantastic. Hats off to you. I'm not knocking that at all. I'm not one of those people who say, well, if you're poor, then you're good. If you're rich,
you're noble if you're poor.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. The funny thing is, I think when Chris pulled up my place before we went on a trip, he's like, there's that look in his eye. He goes, "You live here?"
But you're famous.
You live in a shack up on the hill? What the hell's wrong with you? But yeah, I don't think he thought that. So but there was a moment where you feel that you're like, the head honcho of Novacraft Canoe, and yeah, it was funny. But at the same time, I do remember there was a moment of bliss, I think, was when we were out and he had to show off this canoe. So, there's Tim, my buddy, volunteering to help film, and then Andy's helping out, paddling Tim around, and we're paddling around. And I remember Chris saying, "Yeah, Kevin knows how to paddle." And that was kind of cool because that was a moment I went, "Thank you." Because I was doing the whole, to me, actually, I call it the Becky Mason. Becky Mason really taught me a lot about paddling, right? And how to really swirl the canoe and be with the water. And I said, yeah, and it's a single blade, isn't it? No, I didn't say that. I'm just joking.
Oh, you probably did.
No, I did. Yes. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent way too much, like I usually do. But yeah, I really love your show. I think it's fantastic what you guys do, and keep it up. And if you don't keep it up, we won't, we won't cry at night, whatever. But we'll miss you. But I think it's really important that you keep doing this.
We love you too, Kevin. Thanks. And Dennis.
Well, thank you. Well, you know what? I think we said it all, eh?
I have really I have to reach over and get my whiskey. I had a long day today.
I hear you. Good. We'll enjoy a whiskey or a scotch in the green room. How's that? Yeah. Kevin, stick around for the green room. I'm just going to put you down in the basement. We'll finish up the show here with these good people.
Put them in the basement,
people, and we'll talk to you in a bit.
Oh, this has been terrible, Dennis. I
know. Sorry to put you through this.
We never want to do it
again. No, you know what? In all reality, it's been great having you two on the show. I'm really enjoying your podcast. tell everybody when your show comes out, what days they should be watching for the show, your new episodes to come out.
Yeah, so there's one coming out tomorrow. That'll be part 4 of the trip log from the French River from Tim and Thomas. And then the following, the 24th of October, is Camping with the Coles.
And then every 2 weeks after that. So
Every other Monday, we try to put out 6 a.m. And then we've got a couple of other weeks where we're going to be doing the trip logs on Wednesdays.
Okay. And your where's the easiest place to get a hold of your podcast?
We are on all the things. So we're on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Google Podcasts, we are on Alexa, we are on TuneIn, wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can listen to us.
you can just tell your Google and it will, if you've got the speaker thing, it will just play it.
You can go to our website, which is supergoodcamping.com, and we've uploaded the podcast episodes on there as well.
Cool. I'm a Spotify listener. And your other social medias, where can they find out more information about you?
So on Instagram, we are super_good_camping. We've got the Campfire, which is our Facebook group, which is a public Facebook group. Anyone's welcome to join, and we'd love to yak right there about camping. Super Good Camping is our website, and that on the website is all the links to all the social media. But Twitter, we are Super Good Camp In with no G because they don't allow the extra character.
Too many letters.
Excellent.
You know what?
So
hit our website. It has all the things right there to just direct you to all.
And the podcast episodes is due at the end of each episode too. There's links to all our social.
Yep.
Excellent. And where can people email you? Because I love your email address.
It's hi@supergoodcamping.com. That's hi@supergoodcamping.com.
There you go. Awesome. Well, guys, you know what? Thank you very much for being our guest tonight on the show. Hopefully we can direct more listeners your way, and just keep them shows coming. From somebody else that does this type of thing, just keep pushing. It's awesome. It's
cool.
Thanks so much, Dennis. We so enjoyed our time here.
Very thankful that you brought us on tonight. This has been a ride.
Excellent. So I will meet you all in a green room here after I close up the show. We'll talk to you in a few short minutes.
See you
cool.
then.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Well, everybody, you know what? Another great guest on the show. Got to learn something new about something else that it really excites us all, right? So by all means, check them out. Supergoodcamping.ca. They do have links on their website, as they mentioned, to a bunch of their podcasts, or you can find it on any of their any place you listen to podcasts. I listen through Spotify. Found it very, very easy, so it's not a problem. All their shows are, they're short, easy listens. You got 10 minutes to 15 minutes, and then maybe 30 minutes when they have guests. So it's a great, easy listen. Just wanted to once again put that out there for anybody. If you think you know your stuff about your either Garmin or your Zoleo or your Spot device, drop me an email at canoehound@gmail.com. I'd love to have a quick little chat with you about possibly having you on the show as a guest, so that we can maybe have a show on that topic and just try and take care of all the myths and try and get a bunch of things out there, because a lot of people are very confused about which GPS unit or which safety beacon they should be carrying with them. So let's see if we can cover some of that next week. If anybody has any topics for any upcoming shows, please do drop me an email right there as well at canoehound@gmail.com. I reply to every email that comes through to me pretty much within a short time frame, and we'll make that happen. Once again, if you missed the question of the night for the swag giveaway, it's how many episodes of Super Good Camping aired so far. It's between one number and another. We mentioned it a bunch of times throughout the show, or you could just check out their actual podcast and find out what episode that they're currently airing. So that'd be a good thing as well. Hope to see you next week. And that's about it for this week. So thanks for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. And remember, everybody, please do keep the adventures alive. Until next week. Bye-bye.